Hello, welcome back to the Toyless of Titles podcast network program called Friendly Fire. My name is Justin Stevens, and our boy Nate has he's down for the count for this week. Not because he's sick like the rest of us, and not because of work this time, but his little guys are sick, unfortunately. So he sent me a video of one of them. Man, it was bad. So not something that they're going to be able to get over anytime soon. So we figured the last couple of times he's been out, we were able to bring on a combination of George and Rich one at a time to fill in for Nate. I sent out the offer for both of them to see which one wanted to come on, and the next thing I know, they're both wanting to come on, which is awesome. We've got an extra little fun twist to one of our weekly games here, so that's going to be great. And we got a bonus guest that I heard in the background there. I feel like that was probably George's dog because he hurried up and hit the mute. But this kind of odd. George, I've never heard the dog actually bark. He usually just kind of lays there, doesn't he?
Yeah, I got the active on some steroids right now, some medication, and instead of acting like a 9-year-old dog, he currently acts like a 9-month-old dog. So he barks, and the puppy that's out there is getting him going. And normally he's just in here laying here. You never even know that I've got a dog or two in here with me. But yeah, the puppy started to bark, so he chimed in.
Yeah, we love our puppies at Toilets and Titles. We actually just got a couple of more here at the home studio here. Executive producer Lori sent me 3 hours away one way today to go grab a couple of pug puppies. So we're pretty excited about the new additions to the family. But yeah, there's your 9-year-old puppy there. So, what about you, Rich? How many dogs do you guys have in the house?
We have three. We just recently brought in one. So, excuse me. I have a golden retriever, a chihuahua, and a red-nosed heeler.
Yeah, I
So you
I
got
knew you had one, and then I saw that you posted that you guys just recently got another, but I didn't realize you had a third one there. So, yeah, that's pretty outstanding. So, 3 dogs there, 3 dogs here. How many dogs do you have, George?
three.
So we all have 3 dogs now. So it's a good thing that I got those two today to make it all symmetric.
Yeah,
But
my wife. We actually have 4 dogs in the house.
she talking about you?
Yeah.
Hey. So you also have a hound dog then, huh? All right. Since we keep this PG rated, we're gonna move on. But Friendly Fire is the sports betting show that we offer that is 100% brought to you by Rival Fantasy. So Rival Fantasy, you go to this link right here at the bottom. And now that we're back in good graces with YouTube again, you're actually also going to see that link pop up right there above Rich's shoulder up there in the corner, the top right hand corner there. And that link is joinrival.com/title tribe. In that link, when you click on there, you're gonna see all the different ways that you could potentially bet. You're gonna see at least one, maybe more of those ways tonight on this episode. But once you see that it's really fun to bet on Rival, because not just because it's fun to bet and not just because it's football, but because of the different ways that you can bet on Rival. Like for instance, I saw a matchup that Lori had in her one of her season long leagues. And I liked the matchup for her against her opponent. So I bet $1 that she would win over her opponent. I'm not even in that game. And you can bet on other people's matchups on season long fantasy football. You don't get that on any other platform. So again, that's joinrival.com/title tribe. If you like what you see and you decide you want to bet, then your first deposit of up to $200 is going to be matched by Rival. And just for using that link, joinrival.com/title tribe, you'll get an additional $25 added to your account just for using the link there. And which it also helps us out as well. So, there's the big commercial. And now I want to shout out to our Patreon. So we had a big Patreon giveaway on Tuesday night. We gave away the Yeti cooler, the coveted Yeti cooler, and it went to our man Oscar Duarte. Now, Oscar Duarte has been a longtime supporter. He's been a Patreon for quite some time. And so I was happy to see that he won that. And before we get started with the show itself, I want to show you guys something because Oscar and I, he sent me a rival bet last week. I accepted it because I was kind of running my mouth. I was kind of saying, in the Gilded chat, which by the way, Gilded chat, free chat for anybody to join, where we all talk football, we all talk about betting, we talk college football, fantasy football, you name it. But I was kind of running my mouth, and they're saying that it wasn't time for Lockett to give it up just yet. It wasn't last week, actually. It was last night. It wasn't time for Lockett to hand over the reins to Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Lockett was going to outscore JSN. So what did Duarte do, man? He sent me a rival bet, and I accepted. And as you can see right here, I lost $5 to my homie Oscar because not only did Njigba outscore him by 2.5 points, or well, 3.5 points. It would have been a lot more had they not taken that touchdown back. But this week he sent me another bet, and I'm just now realizing, man, I'm just sitting here rambling on and on and on. So let me show that bet real quick because I did tell Oscar that I wanted to show it. Let's see, where do we go? Go to challenges. No. Where was it? Oh, right here. I just had to hit refresh. So he sent me this one. He's taking Brock Purdy, and he gave me Jalen Hurts, and I told him that I actually prefer the Brock Purdy side this week, but since we have that bet going, I went ahead and accepted the Jalen Hurts side. What do you guys think of this bet? Rich, I'll start with you.
I actually, it's even across the board. I mean, 9 times out of 10, people are going to pick Jalen Hurts if they weren't really deep diving into the matchup and everything. But if you do deep dive into the matchup and everything, I do like Brock Purdy better. He has a better matchup this week than Jalen Hurts does. So.
Yeah, I really love his wide receivers this week in fantasy as well. George, am I getting the better end of it?
Yeah, you are. So I covered the 49ers for High Point. The 49ers are playing the Eagles. Two very, very evenly matched up teams. The reason why I like the Jalen Hurts side of it is you can argue who's got the better wide receivers, right? Like that's going to be close. Brock Purdy gets the slight edge because no matter, and he's got for Jalen Hurts, but Brock Purdy has George Kittle. Outside of that, it's pretty even, the wide receiver core. But here's the thing. Jalen Hurts leads the league in rushing touchdowns because when they get within the 2 or the 3 yard line, it's all 100% tush push. And I think you're good for at least 1, possibly 2 touchdowns this week with Jalen Hurts running the ball. So while Brock Purdy may get him in the air, Hurts is going to get him on the ground. I like Hurts' rushing ability. I would want the Hurts side on this.
Yep, outstanding. So just so you know, for those of you that have not seen this show before, here's the different ways that you can bet. We've got the season-long tab right here that shows all of your season-long leagues that you're in. I'm actually doing pretty good in most of them. Of course, the one that pops up every time is the one where I'm in dead last. So that's never fun. But overall, I'm doing pretty good in these season-long games. And that's Duarte that I'm playing this week. So what I'm going to do, since he's a big Patreon, I'm going to click on here. And oh no, I can't bet. I can't bet because there's already been games played. I was gonna just go ahead and give Duarte a free $1 and bet to show people how to do it, but he already had CeeDee Lamb go and drop 32 against me. But that's all right. I think the Yeti cooler is enough of a gift. You can go to challenges here. You can bet on NBA right now, or you can bet on NFL. They also have Major League Baseball when that's in season. Or you can go to the bingo cards, which if we have time, we might go back to that. But I covered that a lot on a lot of other shows. I am making a mental note here of all the different players that you guys talk about tonight. And if you like them enough, I'm going to put them on a list. And after the show, I'm going to put together a bingo card just of the guys that you guys talked about. And I'm going to try to win money off of your brains because that's just how I work. Let's see. So we wanted to play a fun little game that's a little bit different than and I hit the wrong button here. It's a little bit different. It's like a little bit of a twist off of one of our normal games. Normally, what we like to do is we'll pick a category and a position. So like a wide receiver from the NFC. And then we go head to head, me and Nate, or me and whoever the other host is. And we go head to head and we do a social challenge. But since we have 3 of us, I came up with a different way of doing it where we each come up with the category and position. And then the next thing I know, of course, having Rich and George in here, it elevates into a whole nother atmosphere of betting, because they are far more creative than I am. The wife tells me all the time that I'm extremely shallow. So I'm about as deep as a kiddie pool. But so bringing on the amazing minds of these 2 guys, they've made this game a little bit more fun, and now I'm gonna have to start thinking outside the box every week. Which, by the way, after the NFL season, we are going to cut back this show quite a bit, because we don't know the NBA and Major League Baseball. But hopefully by spring training, we're hoping to bring back the show with a couple of new faces that actually know baseball that we have in mind that we're kind of been working with. So the show will go on, but we will be taking a hiatus between the NFL and Major League Baseball seasons, and it'll just be new hosts for baseball. And then probably a crossover whenever the seasons mix. But yeah, so but you just wanted to throw that out there. Before we get into this game, I also want to remind you, if you guys are a Patreon, make sure that you watch the Tuesday night episodes, because we're giving away Yeti tumblers too. The next 4 Tuesday night shows, so all of the 4 Tuesday night episodes in December, Shepsy Claus is giving away a tumbler each night to a random Patreon supporter. So all you got to do is be a supporter on Patreon, patreon.com/toilets and watch the show live and comment in the comments section. Once you comment, I'm going to put your name on the wheel. And then at the end of the show, we're going to spin that wheel and give the award or give the prize to a Patreon supporter. And both of you guys are Patreon supporters, and you do qualify for this one. It is any Patreon, even if you're on the team. All right, just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, because those tumblers are nice. I got to figure out a way while we're hosting the show to comment myself. Let's see. All right, so the game. So again, a position and a category, and I believe, Rich, you were the first one to come up with this crazy category because you came up with a crazy one when you co-hosted with me before. So we'll start with yours. So, Rich, I want you to give your position, your category, and then tell me your first pick.
Yes. So, as we were discussing earlier off show, we started talking, and I go, you know what? No, we're going to do something different. We're going to do. You have to draft a QB, pick a QB that wasn't a starter on an NFL team week 1. So as we all know, the way the season has gone, there's plenty of options. Are you going to have the good option is the thing that comes down to it. A lot of buys this week, so we also got to factor in that. So with my choice, I'm going Gardner Minshew.
Yep. That was number 1 on my list here as well. So and if I remember right, didn't you say you have him listed as your top 10? In your top 10
in my top 10 QB rankings, I have him listed at. I actually have Gardner Minshew ranked number 9 in my top 10 rankings this week.
And if somebody wanted to see that, where would they go?
You would actually go to toiletstotitles.com, where we have video links, articles, everything that we post. Me and Jason, we each give our list of rankings at the top 10 position for every week. So.
You know what else they can get off of our website? For those of you that don't that haven't thought about this, we are also affiliates, like web affiliates for Amazon, Homage for sports apparel, Fanatics for sports apparel, and a couple other places too. You can go to the website and then click on the link to those places. They just pop up like an advertisement, and place your Christmas orders there. Okay, all you guys and gals out there watching, you have family members that you want to buy Christmas for. Maybe you want to buy yourself something nice. Go for it. You deserve it. Bought myself a couple pugs today. We all deserve to spoil ourselves a little bit, right? So click on those links, order you whatever it is you were already going to order for the Christmas gifts anyway, and also help give us a little bit of a donation that way to help us pay the bills. So, I'm sorry, George, you're next up. Who's your quarterback that was not a week one starter that you think is going to score the most points this week?
So I had Gardner Minshew on my list, but he was actually my number 2 quarterback. So I appreciate Rich leaving me my number 1 quarterback, which I feel like this is cheating. But anybody who knows me knows if you ain't trying. I'm going with Kyler Murray.
Yep, that was my number 2.
He was my number 1.
And to be honest with you, he totally slipped my mind.
Oh, really?
I was hoping he did.
All right, so that was my number 2. So that means I'm down to my number 3 here. So just so you guys know, obviously we can't place rival bets where we face like a 3-way rival bet. We can't do that. So the way we're doing it is like I'm taking Jake Browning. Okay, we lost one JB, Joe Burrow, in Cincinnati. So now we have another JB, Jake Browning, stepping in. I like his moxie. Right. I like his matchup this week against Jacksonville. They do give up the 5th most points to fantasy quarterbacks. I do like that he still has a good offense around him for the most part. The offensive line, maybe needs a little bit of work, but for the most part, it's a good situation if you've been slapped by Rich and stuck in a spot where you have to take a quarterback that wasn't a week 1 starter. So I like Jake Browning. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to send a rival bet to Rich, and we're not going to do it on air this time like we usually do because we're late in the season. Everybody's pretty much seen how to do that. If you need to see it, go back and watch episodes 1 and 2 of this series. It's in the playlist, and we go through those step by step. But so I'm going to send a bet to Rich where he gets Gardner Minshew and I get Browning. Then I'm going to send a bet to George where he gets Kyler and I get Browning. We'll review these next week when Nate's back, and we can go over how all that shaped out. So I'm just writing it down here so I know who's sending who what. So I'll send mine out, and then Rich.
I've already sent mine out.
Okay, so George is sending his out, and then I'll send mine to Rich, and then Rich, all you have to do is accept. How about that? All right, so next is the tight ends. George, this one was your category. What'd you come up with?
So the tight ends I came up with is you have to pick a tight end who is not currently ranked in the top 5 tight ends. And what made this really fun, and this is PPR leagues, and I'm basing the scoring from Fantasy Pros. So what really made this fun is the number 1 tight end is TJ Hawkinson. He's on a bye. You can't play him this week, so he does not count as number 1 overall. So now the number 2 becomes the number 1. So that's Travis Kelce. You cannot play Kelce. You cannot play Kittle, who's number 3. The number 4 tight end is Mark Andrews, who's injured. So you can't play him, so we're skipping him. And we're going to go down to number 5, which is Sam Laporta. So you can't play Sam Laporta. And then the is on the list, Taysom Hill. On Rival, he's considered back, not a tight end. So you can't pick him either. So that brings us to Cole Kmet. Or did I miss Evan Ingram?
You did.
You did, but Kmet was also in that top 5. So after that, we're good.
Okay. So, and then you got like Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson. Both of those guys. Well, Dalton Schultz ain't playing, so you can't bet him. So and Jake Ferguson's not playing, so he already played, so you can't bet him. Dalton Kincaid is on bye. You can't play him. Dallas Goedert is injured, so you can't play him. So basically, what I did is I said, hey, guess what? We're gonna bet by using tight end 2s to see who we like the best.
I like it. George, it was your category, so you start us off, and then we'll go clockwise.
All right. Again, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I'm going to go with the guy that they just cut another tight end from to make it so he is really the only tight end on his team. I'm going to go Trey McBride from the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep, very good, very good. And I had he was number 2 on my list. I had a theory that Zach Ertz wanted to be cut so that because maybe there was something wrong with Goddard's injury that popped up unexpected, and he wanted to go back to Philly to make a playoff run. But then all of a sudden we find out that Goddard is back at practice this week. So I don't think he's had a setback. Still could potentially happen though. Like they could go back and have 2 tight ends there, but have another blocker for the tush push.
So, real quick before you make a choice,
Yeah.
he will be going back to Philadelphia. I'm already giving breaking news. He will be signing with Philadelphia because if he signs with Philadelphia, the team that he started with, he only needs 13 catches to take over as the number 1 receiving option in Philadelphia.
You mean all time?
All time reception leader.
Wow.
So tell me if he is not going to sign with the Philadelphia Eagles to end his career with the team he started with.
Yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice. I don't even like Philadelphia, but that would be nice. It's a good story. And I only don't like Philadelphia this year and last year because I don't like their coach. I'll go back to being okay with them when he's gone. But my tight end for this crazy category is the only way you will ever get me to pick this guy is to have George come on your show and force your hand by coming up with this crazy ass rule. I'm going to go with David Njoku. I mean, and that offense, he has been a focal point. He has had some good weeks finally after a 47-year career. He's finally like doing something, and he's got a great matchup against the Rams. They're 25th against tight ends. So, with given the situation, he's got a decent shot at getting a touchdown. So I'll go with Njoku. So Rich,
right. And
Rich,
that leaves you.
Yeah, solid choice. So since you guys have already made your decisions, Trey McBride, he was on my list. He was probably like 3rd or 4th on my list. Njoku was my number 1 option I was going to take and everything. So solid pick there, Justin. So that leaves me with 2 options that I was looking at. I actually have both these tight ends ranked in my top 10. Surprisingly, I have Logan Thomas ranked number 3 this week in my top 10 rankings.
Ooh.
But I am not going with Logan Thomas.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
So I had to throw that out there just because, like I said, a lot of people probably ain't going to have Logan Thomas in their top 5. It's a solid choice if you really sit there and look at it. But
it is.
I am going to pick a tight end that is on an offense where they just changed offensive coordinators and had a huge game last week. And I like for him to follow that up and stuff like that in this new offensive scheme. Just coming back from injury last week, solid performance. I'm going with Pat Freiermuth.
Yep. Freiermuth was 4th on my list for this game, and I had Thomas 3rd. So whenever you mentioned his name, I had already wrote your name down. I had to scribble it out. So, all right. Very good. Yeah, no.
I'll be honest. I didn't even have Freiermuth on my list. I had Logan. Yeah? I had him ranked Logan Thomas, McBride, Thomas, Juwan Johnson, K. Daughton, Kyle Pitts, and then David Njoku. I did not have Freiermuth on my list.
Well, that's usually where I put Njoku, so I should probably have followed my heart. But when it comes to Freiermuth, though, what scares me though is that I know it's been a short career. He's his 2nd, 3rd year. He just hasn't really done much with the opportunity. And then like last week, it's just like it's out of nowhere, right? So maybe it is the new offensive coordinator, and hopefully it is because I like the guy, I like the player. So I'm hoping that that's all it was, and he's actually going to be a focal point because he's definitely talented enough. But we'll have to wait and see. We also don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to be playing or not. So then he'll have what was that? Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, Trubisky. So which I think also bodes well for a tight end receiving. So that's awesome. All right, my category, I was going to go something crazy with wide receivers, but George very graciously reminded me that I love kickers.
I was gonna
So
say you love kickers.
so I'm going to go with kickers. And what I decided to do is we're going to choose kickers that are not on a team that is currently slotted to be in the playoffs. So you cannot choose the kicker for the Falcons, Lions, Niners, Eagles, Browns, Steelers, Ravens, Chiefs, Jags, Dolphins, Cowboys, Vikings, Seahawks, or the Colts. And then as I was looking through the list of what was left, there was still a few teams that are on bye this week too. So kind of slim pickings here on the kicking front. And again, I really do like kickers, but I'm going to go with Nick Folk for the Titans. He is facing my Colts this week, and the Colts give up the second most fantasy points to kickers because they have that bend don't break defense. A lot of times I start the kicker against the Colts. I have for the last 2 seasons actually, a lot. So in this case, I'm a little bit worried that it's played outdoors, and this is getting to be that time of the year where you don't know what the weather's going to do. But so if this were like for a fantasy lineup, I might consider that last second change. And you know where I'm going to get that information is on Title Time Sunday mornings from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. with not Rich for the rest of this season, but usually with Rich and George and Jason. But luckily we got a nice fill in and Pete coming on to try to fill those shoes for the Frito Bandito. I think I'm going to be able to make it on this Sunday, so that'll be fun. But anyhow, I'm going to go with Nick Folk this week against the Colts, and I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Now, the only other thing we got to worry about is not always do all of the kickers make it onto Rival each week. So we'll just have to not bet for the ones that don't make it there. But so I'm going Nick Folk. We're going clockwise. So Rich, who's your kicker for this week?
I will be going Carlson.
Which one?
Well, obviously, if you really knew football and stuff like that, you knew the Raiders would have a bye. So it would be Ander Carlson, his brother, for the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I couldn't remember if the Raiders were in the playoff spot or not. Sorry.
Really?
Sorry. All right.
We got jokes.
All right. So Rich is going with his man Carlson. And well, not his man, his man's brother.
There you go.
And George, you able to dig through and find a kicker yet?
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I had my number one kicker still on the board.
Hey, nice.
So this kicker kicked 5 field goals last week.
Ooh.
The team is good enough to move the ball, not good enough to score. I'm going with Blake Grupe from the New Orleans Saints. They got a pretty decent matchup where they're going to have to put up points against the Lions. The Saints are at home in their dome. I kind of like this matchup here for the kick. Give me some Blake Grupe against the Lions.
Yeah, I had Grippy as number 2 on my list, and then I just got to thinking about all those wide receiver injuries. That's kind of concerning me about their ability to move the football a little bit. But I mean, if you have Alvin Kamara, you've got a solid dump off game. If you've got Taysom Hill and you have Juwan Johnson, you have a solid screen game.
Chris Olave should be back for the game as well.
As we know,
he's projected to clear concussion protocol.
Yeah, as we know, if you watched TGIF last night with myself and George, so that's very, very knowledgeable stuff there. All right, guys, we're already pushing 30 minutes in. We usually don't go this late on this game, but since we went with 3 of us, that kind of pushed us back a little bit. So we don't really have very much time for anything else. But I do want to give both of you an opportunity to try to push anything. If there's anything out there that you want to try to push right now, or any other shows, maybe something I missed. Can you guys think of anything at all?
No, look, all I'm going to say is make sure you are joining George and Jason and Pete, Title Time. Look, if you go back and check some of our shows, we've been hitting on a lot of nice hits. As always, there's going to be some misses there, but if you really go back and check some of our hits, we are getting some great calls and everything. And if you really want us to give you a hand, hey, come on, join the show and check it out. Because look, we take the time to make sure not only that we answer the question, but we give reasonings a little bit more in depth than what some people might not and everything. So we really dive deep in it, and we try to make sure we answer every question that is popped on there. So make sure you guys are joining the T2T team for titles at title time Sunday, 9:30 to 11:30 Central Time, which for you guys is 10:30 to 12:30 Eastern.
Yep. And the only thing I want to add is we're knee deep into the whole season. If you get an opportunity, buy an unwrapped toy, a brand new toy, throw it in a Toys for Tots collectible bin at any toy store near you. Take a moment to donate a toy for Toys for Tots. Take a moment really to donate to any specific charity that you feel passionate about that you want to support. It goes a long way. There's a lot of people out there in the world that are probably in a less fortunate place than you. So if you have the means to donate a $10 Barbie, a $5, a couple things, a Hot Wheel, like you'd be absolutely shocked how those things go. So in the spirit of the holidays, try to do something nice for somebody else.
Very good. Very well said. I like that. All right. Well, for Rich, for George, I'm Justin. Again, we thank you very much for tuning in. You had several different options as far as your YouTube viewing pleasures, and you chose us this evening. So we greatly appreciate you guys, and enjoy your Week 13 football. Good luck to you.